So let's create a different type of death. Let's go to our player damage. And let's actually pass in an amount here in hurt. Let's do that. Okay, so we go to our player controller. And in our hurt script, our hurt function, where are you? Yeah, let's say int damage amount. Okay, and then actually change this one to be damage amount. So we lower the damage amount. If it's less than 0, we'll die. Okay, this should work out. Let's go to our game manager and just pass in. Sorry. Go to the player damage and pass in how much we want to hurt the player, right? So I can put a 1 there and that'll deal 1 damage. So what I think what we'll do, I'll say else. Further.gameObject equals gravity death. The tag will deal 3 damage and just die. Let's do a bool. So we can add a comma here and make it pass it. Whoops. We can add a comma here and make it pass in something else. We can say bool play death animation. Okay, and right here, I'm just going to say if play death animation, play the death animation. Okay, so we can go into player damage now again and say hurt. We want to play the death animation if we get hit by TNT or the boulder. We don't want to play it if we lose gravity death. We just want to continue falling. False. Okay, and that's a cool way to kind of pass information through different codes and into functions that need information. What we can do is just make our this public as well. Public bool can move equals true. So I want to actually move this. So currently, if we can move, okay. So you just want to add can move into the move function. Remove the can move from up here. Add the can move into the move function here. Stop it right here and say else. And we'll say if controller.isGrounded. So if we're grounded, set our speed to 0. And instead of deactivating on player death, where are we? Player death. Instead of deactivating the player controller, we'll say player controller dot can move equals false. There we are. So now we should actually be able to fall and take a hit. So I want to add a new tag to this. Call this gravity death. I'll call it gravity death. I'll use the same trigger on the water and on the outside here. So I'll just say, all right, yeah, that's fine. Gravity death. Let's just add a box collider to this, as a matter of fact. Okay, and it's going to be paper thin. Let's make it not paper thin. Let's make it just slightly thicker. So it'll register a little bit earlier. Maybe than we think. That's fine. Looks like we've fallen in the water and we're going to die. So we want to say this is a trigger. So we should actually just fall and die through the water. Let's see. Let me see the cool explosions. See what kind of goodies we get. That one dropped 4 gold coins. RNG, baby. Cool. Perfect. Basically, and this could be, or you can make another one, but this could actually be the gravity death for our entire world. I think it's low enough. So let's do that. Just increase the size on the X to be whatever you think is good, and the Y. No, sorry. And the Z. Just drag that out so that the player can't like jump and miss it and break the game. Basically have him falling forever. Okay, so that'll be good. So there's our gravity death. So should be able to fall off the edge and do the same thing. Just lose. Actually, I need to actually get across, don't I? Oh boy. So you can hear the little Doppler effect as things are farther away from us in 3D with a 3D audio source. Very cool. What am I doing? Falling and dying. Very cool. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So it shows us falling. The camera stops. We lose control. And we'll probably have the screen fade to black and just say game over. Would you like to go to the main menu or restart? Okay, so those are all set up. Let's add our camera collider. So I think people have been waiting for that probably. So let's go layer default, good. I don't think that the colliders matter if they're triggers or not for this collision. So what you want to do is just go to your the Cinemachine game object. So whether you have free look or virtual camera, whatever it is, you want to go down to extensions, add extension, and here's a few different things that they're not regular components. So I used to think you just went here because Cinemachine has a ton of regular components here that you just attach to stuff, but I guess the extensions are 100% dependent on having a Cinemachine camera component, or at least camera script attached to it. So yeah, so you need to go down here to extensions, add extension, and you can add the collider right here. So all we want to do is tell it to collide against the props and the player. We'll leave the items out, that's fine. Just making a little wall so that we can see the camera working. So you actually saw it just budge there, didn't you? See that? So it's going to actually move itself. So you have some parameters on that collider to try and like focus on your player as best you can. So if I do this now, you can see there's a bunch of gaps in between these. So you can add some smoothness to that, like a damper. And that's what we'll do, because that snapping is extremely unnerving. Let's just come here. Want to add damping. So right here on damping when occluded, let's add 0.1 and 0.2 and see how that goes. Smoothing time, let's give it a 0.1. If you have a wall in between you there, instead of actually colliding with a collider, it's going to try and push itself to be close to you. So we can give it, I think, maybe a bias, and don't make it go inside of the player. Minimum distance from target. Let's do 0.3 and see if it is jittery when we're up against a wall. Don't want that. Play with the values until they work for you. A little jittery, but it won't go inside of our guy. That's what I wanted. Well, last thing I want to do, let's go into Blender. Okay, so we could actually use this game world as a reference. So let's just go Shift A, add a cube. Let's call this cube Skybox. So this is just going to be really generic for me, but I'll explain a couple of things hopefully, so that hopefully you understand how you can make your own Skybox. So this is a very simple way to do it. So you can use six-sided materials in the actual sky in Unity, and that's a better way. But for me, I'm going to take these and I'm going to go Shift N and invert all of these normals to be facing inside. So now in Unity we will see all of it like that. And there's a material type or a shader type in Unity called actually we used it to make the icons, the Phanta Black. So we'll just put Phanta Black on all of this, and because it doesn't take any light or shadow, you won't notice anything about the corners at all. It'll just be a solid color surrounding us, and you won't tell that it's a box. So that's cool. So obviously you can paint like a horizon here, clouds, and stuff like that. So this is literally it. The camera's not going to reach out that far. This is going to be good. We could probably even make it smaller. Okay, cool. So that's actually just going to work for me right away. So I'll go 7 file, export FBX into the game world. Why not? We'll just go right in there into models. Cool. And I'll call this Skybox. We'll call it Skybox model because it is a modeled Skybox. It's not a six-sided material. But you could make one nicely with the default cube in Blender. It's pretty cool. You could also just go to the Unity Asset Store and download any kind of Skybox you want. Usually they come with six-sided materials for the Unity Skybox and work just perfectly. They're really nice. Even some really nice free stuff, actually. But anyway, let's go ahead with this. Selected objects, apply transform. Beautiful. Okay, and that should be somewhere here. There we are. So it's an inverted. Let's reset the transform. So it's an inverted cube, right? We can't see it from the outside because the normals are facing the inside. So anyway, inside the game we'll be seeing this is a big white cube. So let's give it the material. It's Phanta Black. Hello. The camera was in the way, I believe. There we go. Okay, very cool. So now we're looking at the underworld, basically. So in the next episode, we're actually going to use post-processing effects to make this look a lot nicer, place our crates all around for our game, and we'll try and keep the hierarchy here really optimal for loading and stuff like that.